Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special episode of Uncanny Treks. We are winding down the Hickman run. The end is in sight. This is our coverage of Hickman's Avengers Time Runs Out. We're doing the original trades, Volume 1 in issues from Avengers 35 and New Avengers 24. I am Bob in Cascadia. That's Matt in the Southland. Matt, how you doing this evening?
Doing well, Bob. I had to pump the brakes a little bit this week because there's no way. No, no
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah, it's a lot.
It is a whole lot and a whole lot of characters. If you name a Marvel character, they've appeared at some point in this Avengers run.
Would say some slight X-Men exceptions. There are some X-Men, but it's really not very X-Men focused.
And you wouldn't want to bring all of them, but we do get some cameos by the X-Men, and we get a lot of other cameos. If you like books with lots and lots and lots of characters, this is it for you.
Although, and maybe I'm wrong here, and feel free to disagree, but Hickman does big cast better than a lot of other writers. I'm not saying who everybody's deal is or their motives, but on the whole, you have a sense of more people's motives than you do in a lot of these crisis books.
He does it well because he does put the primary focus on certain characters, and the others are pretty much relegated to the background, which is how you should do it. But he does it well to where it doesn't feel like you lose interest in his backup characters. You're going to see Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's not going to say anything.
He does it well of having different factions. On one hand, can make it feel too much like Civil War Redux, which this a little bit is, but on the other hand, gives everybody, and even, okay, Spider-Man's not saying anything, but he's in this team and he's generally supporting this side then.
Correct. It reminds me of wrestling back in the day, Bob, with all the NWOs. You had your favorites on each team.
Did they ever get more than 3 NWO factions at a time?
They had LWO, NWO, Wolfpack, and NWO Black and White. But then for a while there, Bobby had like the NWO B team that wasn't really the cool NWO. There was an obvious divide between the guys who were the jobbers and the ones who were getting the super push.
3 or 4 NWO factions at one time, depending on how you count it.
Correct. We're getting a lot more by the end of this.
Let's go ahead and plunge into Volume 1 of Avengers Time Runs Out. That's the first trade, and it starts us with Avengers number 35. And at this point, the distinction between the two series collapses, right? And they just totally continue one into the other. This issue is entitled 3 Avengers. The art's by Jim Chung, who you might remember as the artist on Infinity, or at least one of the artists on Infinity. He didn't do that much of Infinity, but he did the first and last issue. He also is famous for doing Young Avengers a few years before this. What goes down in Avengers 35?
Well, Bob, Sunspot, who is the new CEO of AIM, visits Cannonball, who had his baby with Smasher. And then Starbrand and Nightmask, they bro out fighting Aleph, while Hyperion and Thor bro out in the Savage Land. And then Amadeus Cho, while trying to steal data from a Tony Stark lab, gets captured by a team of militaristic Avengers, which I'll go ahead and a little bit of a spoiler here. It's the Captain America. It's his Shield Avengers.
Yeah, his Shield Avengers. I wanted to start by saying, and this is on the second page, I wasn't really sure how I felt about the framing text here saying, oh, the Illuminati or the New Avengers secrecy is the opposite of the Avengers World expansion. But it is an interesting idea, like having a theme of secrecy versus expansion. Then there's also an idea that gets played with, it got introduced in the time travel story in Adjectiveless Avengers that we covered a couple weeks ago. But the idea that Steve Rogers' life and Tony Stark's death, the voiceover gives us that too, which is an interesting theme to deal with.
Which to me later on down the road makes more sense. And we'll probably talk about that.
Yeah, it really pays off in the climax.
Correct. But as of right now, looking to what you just said, that's actually some foreshadowing.
Now, Matt, we did an 8-month time jump, which is a beloved trope of superhero comics. Definitely there's a famous one after Infinite Crisis. There's a famous one in the Legion of Superheroes in the late 80s. There's another couple of famous ones that I should be able to think of offhand, but I can't think of. But were you surprised that we were dealing with the 8-month time jump?
I always have to keep that in my head when they jump time and see how much is happening. It really did help, though, that they started with the baby having already been born. So it's all 9 months. This is where we're at now. We've gone this far. I appreciate that, Hickman. Thank you.
We were joking about how they were speedrunning the Smasher Cannonball romance, the Sam Izzy romance, but it does make sense.
Yeah.
The baby is a convenient marker of time. My favorite panel this issue is when Eden Fessy Manifold and Bobby DaCosta Sunspot transport into Sam and Izzy's apartment on the Shi'ar throne world. And man, Bobby's looking really fly in his suit. I like that image a lot.
It really does, Bob. This whole CEO Bobby DaCosta thing is so different to me, even though they do it in the X-Men 97 show.
Been there, but it wasn't really emphasized in the 80s New Mutants or the 90s X-Force that we were reading as kids.
I just don't remember him as the dude that shoots fire that's not Human Torch. And
Yeah, we didn't read much New Mutants and X-Force.
Nah.
We just had a couple of issues here.
Right. But he did look good here, Bob. And then moving on, do you dig that Night Mask has like this new look to him? Is that part of his thing? Like he gets younger or something? I feel like I've missed something with this character.
So I am not sure, Matt. I didn't notice it till you called my attention to it, and I'm looking at the page now. You're right that looking at it, Night Mask does look a lot younger. That could be a side effect of his powers. Maybe it was explained and we both missed it. I don't remember it being explained, but I would also raise the possibility that this might just be Jim Chung's art. So I think we need to look at other artists doing him later in this art, because Jim Chung does have a little bit of a manga influence to him. And if you look at Starbrand also looks young and got a manga look to him. So I'm not sure if that's actually Night Mask is de-aged or if that's just Jim Chung's style.
It could be the style, you're right, but Starbrand is an older teenage character, right?
I mean, he's in college or
Correct.
college age. Speaking of people who've changed, Matt, what's your favorite panel?
Well, Bob, my favorite panel, it's our first glimpse of the grown-up zebras in the Savage Land. They're in there using their iPads, they're riding dinosaurs around. They've got it made.
They're using dinosaurs as a carrying labor, right? They're hauling pipes and hauling easels and things.
As we make our way through these issues, you'll get to see in the background that the zebras are continuing to build up the Savage Land for the new AIM headquarters. Here you're seeing the beginning of it, but by the end, they're flying ships and they have hoverboards and stuff. It's crazy. But they're grown up now. They're teenagers. I guess they grow pretty quick.
I was right that your favorite panel would involve Hyperion, but I was wrong in my guess at your favorite panel, because my guess at your favorite panel would have been where we see Thor and Hyperion drinking. And we should note that this is tying into Jason Aaron's Thor run at the same time, that Thor is the unworthy Thor right now.
For clarification, Bob, is this Thor with 2 R's or is this just Thor the Unworthy?
No, this is our Thor with 1 R, but he's unworthy. I can't remember why, but do you remember Original Sin?
Yeah, yes, yeah, with the crossover.
In Original Sin, it's revealed that he did something or does something that makes him unworthy, so he can no longer lift Mjolnir. And so I forget the name of this axe, but right now he's carrying a battle axe that he carried when he was a younger man before he was worthy enough for Mjolnir. That also is a big plot point in Jason Aaron's Thor. Very cool run. We should maybe look at it sometime. But beyond that, they're also going to work around it by later in this series, he's going to get Thor Double R, the evil Thor that we saw earlier in this run. He's going to get Thor Double R's Mjolnir, which is a funny workaround for him not being worthy enough to wield the 616.
Oh, now it makes sense. Because that does happen later. I didn't really have an understanding of what was going on there because I haven't read the Jason Aaron run. That's cool.
It is just a kind of funny example of with Captain America and Iron Man and Thor and Wolverine, there's all this other stuff going on in their titles that Hickman is having to a little bit work around or accommodate, right?
It really has been an issue, especially when you look at Steve Rogers, who aged pretty dramatically somehow. I don't know. A lot of dealing with aging and people not being themselves. Hulk acts differently. And we did discuss this somewhat last episode.
The challenge of writing comics in the 90s or the 2000s.
Yeah, so many things cross over, yes.
Should we jump ahead to where we see Captain Marvel, War Machine, and Hawkeye in military gray aiming down on Amadeus Cho, who we find out has joined the Illuminati? And you weren't familiar with Amadeus Cho?
You have mentioned him before on this podcast, but I'd forgotten and I had to go Wikipedia. And, oh yeah, that guy. He's basically a smart Hulk.
Sort of. He's not Hulk yet, though. He's introduced as a solo character in Amazing Fantasy, but he becomes a Hulk supporting character, and he is a genius. He's a teen genius, is sort of a shtick. And then he becomes the Hulk a few years after this, in maybe around 2017. I think the series is called Totally Awesome Hulk. But he's hanging with the Hulk at this point, and he is a genius, but he's not the Hulk yet.
And when we say genius, he's running and using mathematical equations to figure out how to escape these war machines that are chasing him.
I really have not read a lot of Hulk. I have not read a lot of Amadeus. I can't really give you a good sense of Amadeus Cho's deal or his personality, but that's broadly what I know about him. Another couple of new members, the Illuminati, which is to say the team from the new Avengers, has picked up are Hank Pym and Brian Braddock, Yellow Jacket and Captain Britain. They've both gone Illuminati, and in some ways, this fulfills what we saw in the alternate universes in earlier volumes of New Avengers, right? Where we saw different incarnations where Captain Britain and Yellow Jacket were in the Illuminati.
Yeah, that was neat. The way they incorporated more characters into the Illuminati, it's building up the ranks as well.
Although we should note that Hank Pym is not in these issues, and one of the reoccurring subplots is where is Hank Pym?
Where is Hank Pym?
We're going to start, maybe we won't do this on other stuff, but for these issues, it makes sense. Matt does the summary. I explain the cliffhanger. So the cliffhanger of Avengers 35 is, how surprised were you, Matt, that Sue Storm turns out to be War Machine?
She's looking for her husband, member of the Illuminati, so she didn't agree with him.
The implication is that Sue has taken Steve Rogers aside in this new Civil War, and she's really angry that her husband's been out building technology to destroy worlds and keeping the family in the dark as they vacation and he builds WMDs back on Earth. Although we should also note that even though here at Sue Storm is War Machine, we're going to find out in later issues that there's a bunch of War Machine armors being remote controlled by the Shield Avengers, and so you'll see a lot of War Machines in these series, not all of them are Sue Storm.
It is the military's pipe dream is what it is.
Really anticipating drone technology.
One guy and 100 drones? No way.
Keep going to New Avengers 24. That issue's called Cabal. The art's by Val Sheedy or Valerio Sheedy, who we've seen quite a bit in this Hickman run. What goes down in Cabal?
Bob, Namor has dinner with Dr. Doom, and the Black Order are shown ravaging worlds. Wakanda is in ruins again, and Doom has been working on something to possibly deal with the incursions.
It's building to something, but you don't know what the something is. Just to clarify, calling them the Black Order is perfectly reasonable. The Black Order is his henchmen, and also you could call them the evil Illuminati or the Cabal. Matt, you had a question for me.
Yeah, Bob, there's this little robot Firefly, lighting the candles in Dr. Doom's castle. Dr. Doom's built little robots that just light things on fire. That's so cool. They need to make those. I want to see those in the film.
Dr. Doom really could dominate in the fields of home consumer technology. He just chooses not to.
Exactly. You got this big castle. You see nothing but candles being lit, all the torches, all that. You got to have something to light those candles. You can't have your Doom bots doing it all the time. You get these little fireflies. And that's the product name there, too, is awesome, too. Beat that.
Doomfly.
Doomfly.
So my guess at your favorite panel was going to be later on in this dinner, where we see Doom mocking Namor for his grievous failure with the Cabal, and he declares in a snit that only now is Namor coming to Doom for help. He declares he's no man's second choice.
Yeah, man. Namor did Doom wrong. You go to Doom first.
So I was right. That was your favorite panel?
It's a good panel, but I really did like the Firefly thing. I'm still sticking behind the Firefly, which to me, it may also just be Doom doing magic, but I'm going to say it's a robot Firefly.
My favorite panels are actually two different pages. On page, we see the Black Order or the Cabal rampaging on an alternate world that has the X-Men. It a little bit feels they're rampaging on the Grant Morrison run of X-Men. And we see Terrax playing with the skulls of Shorn and Zorn, who you may remember from the Morrison run. Then we see Corvus Glaive threatening two of the New Mutants, Wolfsbane and an alternate Cannonball, not the Cannonball we have in this story, but an alternate Cannonball, in order to make Charles Xavier beg. Very creepy, very disturbing panels. I like both.
This was Earth 71202. It's not our Professor X, but it's an alternate one. It's nice to see the interaction between Thanos and Professor X here.
That I did want to flag too, have a really cool exchange. Hickman does do great exchanges of posturing, right? So T'Challa has just left Shuri, leaving her to face Proxima Midnight. Shuri says defensively to Proxima Midnight, "You don't have a damn clue what you just saw." Proxima Midnight says, "I know what I saw." Shuri asks, "What did you see?" And Proxima says, "Nothing that breathes tomorrow."
It's really sad. Wakanda never gets a chance to come back. It's always ravaged by war.
Both the and Atlantis, hard done by, both before the Hickman run, and the Hickman run really exacerbates it. One other thing I wanted to raise, we're back to the Future Foundation, our Hickman run on the Future Foundation, because we see Doom is working with the Mad Thinker again. Did that make you happy?
I was happy to see the Mad Thinker again. Anytime they're going to tie this into Hickman's Fantastic Four, I'm all for it. Which they do that with the cliffhanger.
On the last page, they do tie it further into the Fantastic Four, because we have Doom having as a captive the Molecule Man, and he's using the Molecule Man. Do you know who the Molecule Man is, Matt?
Okay, Bob, is this the same Molecule Man? I'm reading that old school Fantastic Four stuff, and it was like issue 20.
That's it.
There's a weird story where they put each other themselves in plaster to pretend to be statues. I don't know if you
Fun.
remember
I
this.
forgot. He's a god level villain, basically, but he's crazy, as this scene shows. And like you say, he's an original Silver Age Fantastic Four villain. He long predates the Beyonder, but in the '80s Secret Wars, he's very important in that. And that's where he's shown interacting with the Beyonder, with the rest of the Marvel heroes and villains who are on the Beyonder's battle world. And this is, I think, one of the earlier signs, although there was, I think, Beyonder stuff maybe already in the comic a little bit, but this is one of the earlier signs that Hickman's building to doing a second Secret Wars. There was the classic, although I don't actually think it's very good, but there was the classic Secret Wars in the '80s, and Hickman is going to do his 2015 Secret Wars now. Our cliffhanger is the Molecule Man. He returns. Then we've got Avengers 36. That's called Universal Avengers. Stefano Caselli is back on art for this one. We've seen his art quite a lot. What goes down in Universal Avengers, Matt?
Well, Sunspot is building his own team of Avengers under the AIM banner with Hyperion, Starbrand, Smasher, Cannonball,
Worthy Thor.
Night Mask, Abyss, and all the other newer characters you probably won't care about after this run.
Oh, man, I just realized I missed an obvious trick. So, like, our Thor is unworthy because this is the era of Jane Foster, Lady Thor. I should have explained.
Oh, that makes a whole lot more sense because, well,
She
duh.
has Mjolnir. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Okay, fine.
She's busy doing cosmic stuff, I think.
Didn't we watch a movie about this, Bob? Wasn't there a movie where they switched out?
We watched Thor 4. Although it's already fading in my mind, but I don't know how much they actually did Thor is having become unworthy versus him just being jealous that Mjolnir was chilling with Jane. I do want to say, listeners, I do call Jane Lady Thor. I mean that purely as descriptive. I do not mean that in a diminutive way. I don't understand why that should be understood in a diminutive way. I'm happy to call this guy unworthy Thor as well, just to distinguish.
My Lady the Thor.
I don't want to sound like a weird neckbeard Reddit creep.
Yeah.
I should shave. My neckbeard's getting a little thick, but I don't want to sound like a neck.
Well, I don't know if I'm saying it. Lady Thor and taking your fedora off is not helping your cause.
I don't have a fedora. I used to.
I did too, Bob.
It's a shame that Reddit goons ruined fedoras for all.
They were fun. I'm bald. I liked wearing those hats. Now I can wear ball caps.
You're trying to keep yourself from getting skin cancer.
Well,
what was your favorite panel in Universal Avengers?
My favorite panel, Bob, is where Bobby DaCosta is talking to Starbrand and Night Mask at his desk, and he has Pod standing behind him as his bodyguard. And the conversation back and forth. Then at the end, Bobby DaCosta says, "Tell them, Pod." And Pod's, "Everything is cool." What even is this thing? It looks like there was this character on Bucky O'Hare.
It's the super weapon they fought in Sydney many issues.
I do remember it. AIM captured it and did some stuff with it. Yeah, I remember all of that. It's just funny. It's just a weird thing.
It also reminds one of the Fury from Captain Britain.
Yeah.
And the Terminator.
This is a super deep cut, Bob, but there was this video game called Bucky O'Hare.
Is that the rabbit who's
green? And yeah, there was a character who was this little robot, and he had one eye at the top. It was just like a big robot. It looked like this thing, but if it was a kid.
I remember
like this is
Green Rabbit.
This is the grown-up version of his little sidekick thing.
Weird. Matt, my favorite page is where we've got Hyperion, Night Mask, Starbrand, Unworthy Thor, the Abyss, and all the Ex-Nihili. And I did think it was funny how Sunspot's AIM Avengers, or Sunspot's New Avengers, not to be confused with the Illuminati, are basically all the new characters Hickman has introduced to the Avengers. Not necessarily that all of these are new characters, right? Obviously, Sunspot, Cannonball, old characters, but it's just funny that they're all the new Avengers on Hickman's Avengers. So they're the new Avengers in that sense, and we'll get the new Avengers AIM book with them very soon. We'll cover. My guess at your favorite panel was going to be the cliffhanger at the end where Sunspot sends Hyperion and Unworthy Thor on what may be a suicide mission into the multiverse to figure out what's going on with the multiverse.
You're going to figure out later on that that's a pretty big deal.
So we're next to New Avengers 25, which is called What Happened When the World Woke Up. Kev Walker is on the art. He's long been an artist at Marvel. I can't remember if we've seen his work before on this run or not. We might have. But what goes down in What Happened When the World Woke Up?
Well, Bob, the Illuminati observed Sue Storm and S.H.I.E.L.D. interrogating Amadeus Cho with their magic mirror into reality. I wrote that. And Black Panther confirms that Wakanda is no more.
My favorite panel comes during the interrogation where basically you have Amadeus Cho being the voice of teenage male libertarianism. And then his interrogator, Sue Storm, being the voice of the authoritarian Shield mommy state. I thought that was really
My favorite thing about this issue, Bob, is that Hickman does have these issues where it's just the Avengers people watching stuff on TV. We had a couple of issues like
Oh
this
yeah, we had that with
previously.
Namor.
Yeah.
Yeah, watching the Justice League.
That's really all this issue is. It's just them watching this interrogation.
Reed is watching Sue. He's voyeuring on his wife, but then she's making all these threats about him, and you get the feeling, and I was wondering if this was your favorite panel, where you're, oh, does Sue know that Reed can hear her, and she's intentionally threatening him?
We're going to have the big reveal later on, Bob. But were you picking up on any signs of that here? This seems a little strange. Because especially, and I think the problem is it's Reed's reaction and the way that it was drawn. He doesn't, because the way Reed is with his emotions, he just doesn't really seem to have any on his face when watching that.
Yeah.
Something odd is going on here. I really like that, though. I like that. Good on the art by Kev Walker there.
Matt maybe spoiled our cliffhanger here, but the cliffhanger is that T'Challa tells the Illuminati that Wakanda has fallen to the Cabal. That's our big cliffhanger.
I hate to say this, Bob, but I really already thought Wakanda was destroyed by some other thing. So how much more of this place can fall apart?
It's been ravaged.
Poor Wakanda.
We're now to Adjectiveless Avengers 37, Archangel. We got Mike Diodato, who's done a lot of art on Hickman's run, coming back. I love Diodato for creating the 90s Wonder Woman Azrael named Artemis. But Matt, did the title of Archangel perplex you a little bit?
Yeah, it messed me up because I really thought we were going to get an appearance by Warren Worthington, and we did not.
I think because you like Dark Angel Saga a lot, you might overrate the importance of Warren Worthington to the Marvel Universe. I throw that out as a possibility.
It's Uncanny X-Force, right?
Yeah, Uncanny X-Force, Dark Angel Saga.
The ultimate Archangel story.
So what goes down in Archangel, Matt? That's not Warren Worthington.
Yeah. Old Captain America's Shield Avengers go to a former Illuminati site to watch holographic Beast play holographic Hulk.
Oh man, more voyeurism. You really nailed the secret sauce. My guess at your favorite panel, Matt, was going to be we have chess playing hollow Hank McCoy telling old man Steve Rogers, we're playing you. And then chess playing hollow Bruce Banner adding to old man Steve Rogers, better up your game, son.
That is a cool panel. It was not my favorite panel.
What was your favorite panel then a few pages later where Carol Danvers is basically mocking Sue Storm and old man Steve Rogers because both of their husbands have betrayed them?
Wasn't that, Bob? Nope.
Would never betray Carol Danvers like Reed and Tony would betray Sue and Steve, Matt.
I do want to go back, though, and say that the chess playing thing, I was more impressed by the random statistics Beast was dropping. Like they really meant anything in the situation.
Steve Rogers, already basically an anti-intellectual, and now that he's old and arguably senile, he's just really triggered by math. He's just, these smart guys and their math, their numbers.
He's literally just Clint Eastwood in a really bad Captain America outfit.
I feel he regularly records messages to Tony Stark where he's on the bridge of the SHIELD helicarrier and he's talking to the empty command chair as if Tony Stark is in it.
Oh, you know he does, yeah. I'm sure he does.
Sometimes he also talks about President Obama.
But in this book, Obama hasn't been president for 40 years.
Actually, I think Obama is president. I think we see him later.
Oh, yeah.
Unlike DC, usually in Marvel, the actual president is the president.
Until it becomes Lex Luthor or Norman Osborn.
Norman Osborn never became the president. I think he just became the Secretary of Homeland Security. It should be a bigger scandal that Obama appointed Norman Osborn.
Yeah, that could be a Trump argument.
It should be. Speaking of betraying the nation, Matt, were you surprised that both Natasha and Jessica, Black Widow and Spider-Woman have abandoned Steve Rogers?
Well, did they, Bob? Did they really?
I think they did, yeah.
Did they really? Are you sure?
I think they did.
At that point, I was like, no, I think they're where they need to be.
It's just funny because Black Widow was shown in an earlier Adjectiveless Avengers volume as being one of the most loyal Avengers to Steve, right? And so seeing, it's like, Steve, you got a little crazy since you've entered your Clint Eastwood phase. Like, I can't stand with you.
The SHIELD Avengers are the most boring, the ones that have been put in here.
Yeah, totally.
If that was the book we were going to have to read, I don't think I'd be excited about it.
I don't think I would have us read, unless Hickman wrote it directly. I don't think I would have us read a SHIELD Avengers book. I don't think there is a SHIELD Avengers book. Although it is in an interesting way. I have complicated feelings about this because this is a whole thing, but I actually don't think it's unreasonable to have superheroes register with the government, Matt. I just don't when they have the power to destroy worlds. I support gun control. I also support a superpower control, as it were. But that said, obviously in the Mark Miller Civil War, Tony Stark comes off as a total fascist, and Captain America comes off as a freedom fighter, right? In that Tony Stark is supporting registration and Captain America isn't, right?
Right.
What we had, interestingly, a little bit flipped the script here, where unlike in the original Civil War, where Captain America is the freedom fighter, Captain America is the total authoritarian in these issues. But in another irony, and we'll get to this when we get to Tony Stark is even less sympathetic here than he
Yeah.
was in Mark Miller's Civil War. Even though Steve is less sympathetic than he is in Mark Miller's Civil War, Tony's still even worse. I just find that ironic on a couple of levels.
It is insane because, and we're going to get to Tony.
Before we get there, we have the reveal at the end of this issue, which is actually that Sue's been only pretending to be angry at Reed. Sue and Reed divide was also part of the first Civil War, although to be honest, I don't fully remember. But Sue's only been pretending to be angry at Reed. Actually, she's informing to Reed, and we have them having a clandestine meeting, and Sue telling Reed, "I like your beard," which is a deeply ironic, a lot of layers to that. Then we also have Sue telling Reed about Franklin, who's worried that he disappointed his father, which we'll see later. He tried to repair the multiverse and failed. And we have a Val who may have a solution for her father.
She may, Bob. That was my favorite panel.
It was nice.
Yeah.
And so it adds another layer to what we were just talking about. Of not only was Sue, knowing Reed was watching, threatening him, but she was actually using the seeming to threaten him to send a message.
Sue's on Reed's side, guys.
Sue's on Reed's side, Matt. Then the cliffhanger is Val's note to Reed, which says that, "Dad, you need to quit trying to win, and instead you need to figure out how to not lose." That's the cliffhanger for the first volume, Matt. So, listeners, we will be back with Avengers Time Runs Out Volume 2 very soon. That will be New Avengers 26 through New Avengers 28. And it will be Avengers 38 through Avengers 39. Not that much. Join us for Avengers Time Runs Out Volume 2. I'm Bob in Cascadia. That's Matt in the Southland. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks for listening.